All right, I suggest that we officially open the webinar today. So good afternoon and a warm welcome to this insightful webinar on quantum software engineering, brought to you by Constructor Institute and tailored specifically for the bright minds of the American University of Cairo. We are delighted to share with you our research on quantum computing, as well as to offer you a deep understanding of our master's program, their unique characteristics, and why they would be the ideal choice of a master's degree for any aspiring student. A warm welcome to our guests from the American University of Cairo and to all the other participants that have joined us today. My name is Flavia Trifa. I'm the manager of the educational programs at Constructor Institute, and it's my pleasure to be your host today for this webinar. Let me introduce you to our speakers. First, Dr. Yaiza Aragones-Soria. She's a postdoctoral researcher in quantum software engineering at Constructor Institute, and she'll introduce you to one of her research projects, a chatbot for quantum. Her presentation would be followed by Professor Manuel Oriol, who is the president of Constructor Institute and the head of the chair of quantum software engineering. We'll also have an interview with one of our graduates, Sarah Al-Safuri, who is originally from Egypt. So she'll share with you some insights, her experience as a master's student at Constructor Institute. And last but not least, my colleague, Caroline Meyer Sharma, she will introduce you to everything you need to know in order to apply for one of our programs here in Schaffhausen. So let me also guide you through our agenda. As I said, very shortly, Yaiza will introduce you to C4Q, a chatbot for quantum. Professor Oriol will describe to you in more details our master's programs, and in particular, our program on quantum software engineering. We'll have the pleasure to listen to Sarah and Caroline for the alumni perspective, and then learn more how the admission process takes place for our master's programs. Finally, we'll have a section on Q&As. And as I said, after each presentation, feel free to address your questions directly linked to the respective topic, and all the general questions will be addressed during the Q&A session. Thank you. So without further ado, let me give the floor to Yaiza. Please, Yaiza. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Flavia, for the nice introduction. As you already see my slides, as Flavia said, I'm Yaiza, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm very happy to be here now today to give you a bit of the feeling what we are doing in Constructor Institute in Schaffhausen. I will talk about C4Q, which is a chatbot that we are developing for quantum, and this is a joint work with Manuel Oriol. But first of all, let me explain you a bit about me. I actually come from Barcelona, and I'm not a software engineer. I'm a theoretical physicist. I studied my bachelor in physics in Barcelona. Then I moved to Austria to study my master, also in physics. And then I moved to Germany in Cologne to study the PhD, also in physics, and in concrete in quantum information. During this PhD, I discovered the joy in coding, so I decided afterwards to do a bootcamp in full stack developing. And with these two backgrounds, I got this position, a postdoc in quantum software engineering here in Constructor Institute Schaffhausen. And the research that we are doing here is trying to bridge the gap between quantum theory and practical applications in software engineering. But what does this mean, right? I mean, I'm sure you already know about software engineering. I mean, you are studying that, but what's quantum? What's quantum computing? So in classical computing, it's clear. You have some operations and you operate on data. Quantum computing, it's the same operations on data, but now these operations and this data follow the rules of the laws of quantum physics. So we know that in classical computing, we have bits. We usually depict them a bit like this. They are transistors. And now, if we go to quantum computing, the basic unit are qubits. I'm sure you've heard about them, and we usually depict them like that, the sphere with a vector in the middle. We all know that bits can be at 0 or at 1. And a nice quantum phenomena is that qubits can be at 0 and at 1. So now we don't talk anymore about the qubit being at 0, but the probability of the qubit being at 0 or at 1, and therefore we say that they are at the same time. And this phenomena is called superposition. Another phenomena in a quantum phenomena that it's very important in quantum computing, it's entanglement. And actually this has no classical analogy. Entanglement, it's simply a quantum correlation, a correlation that makes that two qubits to be entangled, to be correlated, even if they are separated in distance. In a way that if we, whatever we apply on one of these qubits that is correlated to the other, the measurement that we apply in one qubit will affect the other. So these three characteristics, these three phenomena affect, open a really new field, the field of quantum computing, which is a different way of computing. So I guess it feels cool, it feels interesting, right? Then you can come and study this with us, but maybe it can feel a bit intimidating. And actually now you are young, so you're studying still, but imagine that for the software engineer that has already a lot of years of experience and has realized that, wow, there's a new field, quantum computing. It seems promising because there's a lot of things that are said that quantum computers will bring. But this software engineer has also heard that actually learning quantum is a bit complex. The mathematics behind quantum can be complex, right? So what would this software engineer do? Maybe Google it, but maybe actually nowadays this software engineer would also ask, for example, ChatGPT, what's quantum computing, or any question like this. However, there is a problem, and the problem is that ChatGPT and other generic large language models, LLMs, provide inconsistent answers about quantum computing. And we have actually studied that. And we've seen that, yes, sometimes you get the correct answer, but other times you get a partially correct answer and even an incorrect answer, and with a lot of completely 100% assurance by ChatGPT. And we thought, okay, can we do it differently? Does it actually even make sense? So if we think how ChatGPT and these large language models work, they work with probabilities. No, they answer your question by computing the most probable answer to the question, and then it gives it to you. But what if the question implies, or what is if computing the answer implies using logic, using mathematics, like the questions on physics usually require this? Does it make sense to answer questions that require logic with probabilities? And we thought that actually it does not make sense. So we started developing C4Q with the aim to develop a chatbot that addresses quantum computing challenges, but accurately. And actually, C4Q is already available in its first version and in this website that you can see here in the slides. But what does C4Q exactly do? Nowadays, C4Q is specialized in questions about fundamental quantum gates, and in concrete, it can give the definition of a quantum gate, also the circuit representation, and it can also apply this quantum gate on a concrete state that the user gives. And the most important that we are focused is that C4Q always delivers correct answers. So C4Q will always prefer to say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer, than giving you an incorrect answer. Here we can see some examples. If we give the definition, in this case of the gate, if we ask for a definition, in this case of the Pauli-Z gate, we confirm that this is what we want, and we obtain the definition. Another example is we ask for a circuit, in this case, a circuit of the C0 gate. It takes a bit. Then we agreed, and here we have the circuit of the CNOT gate, which is a very important gate, actually creating the entanglement that I've been talking about before. Another is here, the application. So now we want to apply a Pauli X on the state 0. And actually, that's what the C4Q will do. So with logic, it gives us the answer that we see here, the numbers. This is the state 1. Okay, but how does C4Q achieve this? Why is it different? And the difference of C4Q relies on the architecture. Here we have an architecture diagram of C4Q, and the most important is the backend. In the backend, we see that there are different models, and all of them are handled by this API. So the user enters a question, the question goes directly to the API, and this API, the first this thing that we'll do is to ask the classification LLM to give the category of the question. Nowadays, it can give 3 categories: definition, the circuit, or the application. So the classification LLM gives back the category to the API, but we need something more. We need also the parameters of the user question. For example, if the user wants a definition, we need to know the definition of what, of which quantum gate. Or if we want to apply, if the user wants to apply the quantum gate, we also need to know on which state. And these parameters are given by the QA, the question and answering LLM. So now the API has the user question, has the category, and also the parameters. So now with these things can ask the logical engine to compute the answer. And here the logical engine, which is using Qiskit, but will not use probabilities. And that's the most important, because that's what allows us to give always correct answers. And with that, exactly, that's what we achieved. Our initial approach, so our new approach always gives correct answers. And now we only can answer 3 different questions, but we are already trying to expand the capabilities of C4Q. In concrete, we are working in challenges that are more close to software engineering. For example, maybe you've heard about the traveling salesperson problem. And also, we all want to improve the user experience. We are thinking about implementing a login feature, but also thinking about that the chatbot outputs also quantum code, such that the user can copy it and run it in their laptop, or also making that the user can run this code directly on C4Q. And with that, it only reminds me to say thank you, gracias, and I will be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Yaiza. Indeed, an inspiring presentation, demystifying for us some of the intricate concepts of quantum computing. So thanks a lot for sharing your research with us and with the participants. Let's see if we have any questions directly addressed for Yaiza. Please make sure to use the chat function in Zoom, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So if anyone has a direct question to Yaiza, please feel free. Otherwise, you can also save them for the very end of the webinar, and we can address them then.
Sure.
All right, so we have one question from Khalid. Thank you very much. So his question is, do you use a LLM to answer the question?
So I don't use the answer of this question is yes and no. So we can go back here to the architecture. So there are indeed LLMs inside the C4Q. We have 2 different LLMs, but the question is always answered with the logical engine. What we use the LLMs for are to first categorize the user questions. So the classification LLM will give us if the user question is about defining a quantum gate, if it's about applying a quantum gate, or if it's about giving the circuit representation of a quantum gate. And then the other LLM, the QA LLM, extracts the parameters of the user question. So it takes from the user question which quantum gate is which quantum gate and which initial state. Like for example, in this case, which is an application, let's see if yes, now it works. We see that the user is asking about applying a Pauli X on 0. Right now it will appear again. So the classification LLM will say, okay, this is an application. It's a question about applying a Pauli gate or applying a quantum gate, sorry. And the QA LLM will extract the fact that the question is about the Pauli X and it's about the 0 state. Yes.
Thank you very much, Yaiza. Do we have any other direct questions now for Yaiza? I don't see anything in the webinar chat at the moment, so I suggest we move on with our next speaker, and we'll be happy to address any other questions at the end of our webinar during our Q&A session. So it is my great pleasure to introduce you to Professor Manuel Oriol, the president of Constructor Institute and the head of the chair of Quantum Software Engineering. Please, Professor Oriol, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you. Maybe a few words about myself. Contrary to a number of people, I have, or to a number of people in academia, I have also spent 10 years in industry. So I've done like 10 years in academia, then 10 years in industry, and now I'm back in academia. It's been an extremely interesting journey for me, at least. Well, I'm happy to answer questions about that as well. Maybe we can go to the next slide. So the first thing is about Constructor Institute. So what is Constructor Institute? It's a research and teaching institution in Switzerland, in Schaffhausen. It is part of a group that is the Constructor Group. This group contains or includes another university in Bremen, but also an industry or an organization that is for profit. And that is called Constructor Technology. And we benefit from this connection with them because somehow we can use the tools, but we can also do projects together and make sure that what we do is relevant. This group was created by Serge Bell, who is a highly successful entrepreneur. He has, in particular, I don't know if you know some of the products he has started and developed, but he has worked for Acronis or created Acronis, Parallels, and Acumatica, and various other companies. So we benefit from this. In our strategic advisory board, you can see that we have a large blend or a diverse blend of professors and people from industry. We are very proud that we have Konstantin Novosiolov, who is one of the youngest Nobel Award recipients in the world. But we have also people from computer science. So we have very diverse group of people there. Next. So why would you come and join us? There are two programs, but there are the 6 main reasons to join the CSSEL, so Computer Science and Software Engineering and Leadership Program, or the Quantum Software Engineering and Computer Science programs. 6 main reasons. Sorry. First of all, the scope, right? Computer Science and Software Engineering and Digital Leadership. In the case of Quantum Software Engineering and Computer Science, there's also quantum, of course. Then the program is preparing you for key leadership positions because, well, it's very, it's more, let's say, it's easier to find computer scientists than to find computer scientists with a business acumen. And that is what we prepare you for. Then the people, you have access to research, business leaders. It's a very small structure at the moment, so we are very friendly. We know our students, they know us personally. Sometimes we have movies together, and we talk about more than just science. The teaching, we have various ways of teaching. One of them is agile distributed flip learning, where you are supposed to watch some video or to read some document, and then you discuss it in the classroom. That's quite interesting and novel for many people. And also the research and industry partnerships that we have, where we have interns, we have internship agreements with the various partners. Next. So here is a sample of the courses that we have. So you can see on the left side, there's technical courses, quality engineering, software construction and architecture, cyber protection, quantum informatics, you name it. Then in the middle, you have management courses, how to do product management, how to do product design, change management. And then on the right side, you have the leadership side, which is the industrial organizational psychology, agile leadership, things like that, right? So it's you see, it's a little bit misleading here, because essentially we have 40% of the courses on the management and leadership in total, and 60% on the technical side, right? So it's more on the technical than on the management and leadership. Okay, next slide. As we were saying, we have on-site remote working teams. You have industrial projects, you have world-class instructors, and you can also follow seminars and interviews with world leaders. And you have the personalized digital learning management system. But what is setting us apart, in my opinion, is also that we have a course that is the capstone project course. And I'm not saying this because I'm teaching it, but it helps. So essentially, this course is about tying everything together, where you start with ideation process, requirements analysis, architecture and implementation, and then you finally include advanced concepts there, especially in AI and in cybersecurity. And you do this also for the quantum part. So I would say this is one of the unique places where this kind of project is run with very large group of people, 25 people per group, more or less, and over 18 months. Next. In the case of the quantum software engineering and computer science, I talked a little bit about it, but essentially half of the credits are on quantum informatics and the quantum part. That includes also the thesis that is supposed to be on the quantum part, right? The capstone project is what I was just describing before. Excuse me. Next. So how does it work? Well, in general, most people take the classic track, which means that you are studying for 2 years, essentially 3 semesters with courses and a 4th semester with the thesis. In some cases, people want to go faster, but then what happens is they work on the thesis during the 2nd semester, the 3rd semester, and in the summer break, right? And some people want to get it slower, and then they spread the courses on 3 years, more or less, and do the thesis at the same time. But it's also possible. Okay, next. I talked about this, but you can see it on paper here. I was a little bit desynchronized with the slides. What is important there is really that this is a course that brings all the knowledge that you have from the other courses together. And it's not only limited to coding. It's also with talking to customers, with making the product management, with understanding how you develop things, how you actually make how you develop in Agile, and how, I mean, one of the things that we try to really do is to make sure that you understand that it's the difficulties that you have when you actually develop in larger groups of 20, 25 people. Okay, next. So you see the 3 semesters have the semester 1, which is, you know, proposal, mock creations, proof of concepts. Then we move into the semester 2 where we do the bulk of the implementation, and in semester 3 we add these various additional features, also fixing things and making sure that you actually learn a little bit more about technical depth and what happens there. And this example here is the example, or this is the application that was developed by Sarah's cohort, which is called Easy Peasy App. And Sarah was actually at the origin of this idea. So it was her idea in the first place. Needless to say that this was during the COVID, and that people were thinking of eating healthy food and not going and partying all the time. Okay, thank you very much. I am happy to answer any questions at any point in time. Feel free. And it's an ideal segue to give the microphone to Sarah, because of course we just talked about her.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Oriol, for going deeper into the structure and the unique characteristics of our programs, for highlighting the capstone project, which is one of its kind indeed. Do we have any questions? Let me quickly have a look in our webinar chat. If we have any direct questions for Professor Oriol. If not, perhaps we'll collect them and address them later on. So I would suggest to move on to the interview of our guest alumna, Sarah. She will share with you her experience in Switzerland, in Schaffhausen, for the master's program in computer science and software engineering at the time. And my colleague, Caroline, she will lead the interview with Sarah. So thank you both. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Flavia. Again, welcome to all our participants. Thank you for attending, and I'll look forward to also speaking to you in the next segment about the admissions application process and a little bit more about Schaffhausen and Switzerland at that time. But first, as we were saying, we're so happy to be able to welcome Sarah, to be able to give you a little bit more directly the student perspective. So again, thank you, Sarah, for participating, and I'll just jump right in now to the questions. So my first question for you is if you could please tell us a little bit more about your academic background prior to enrolling at Constructor Institute.
So hello, everyone. I'm actually, I was studying in my bachelor degree, I was in the informatics and computer science faculty, majored in software engineering. I'm a graduate of class 2017. And I worked afterwards as a teaching assistant in the British University in Egypt, as a software engineer, teaching assistant. And I stayed working there for almost 4 years. While I was working, I started the first master degree. So I did it in web sciences. I took the degree from London South Bank. And then I saw this opportunity to join Constructor and Institute, and I just decided to pursue it with the opportunity and quit my job and take the ride. And I came.
Wow, that was a big leap So indeed, if you could tell us a little bit more about what aspects of the program, the institution, and the location convinced you to take that leap and to enroll.
So actually, I married, okay, and what happened was we just had a really serious discussions like, how about this is a really good opportunity. I see I was actually applying for PhDs, but then I saw this opportunity. I was like, how about we both apply because he doesn't have a master's degree? How about that? And then we actually both applied, and then we both passed the challenge and won the fully funded scholarship. And both of us. I was like, okay, there must be something. I mean, the universe is driving us towards this opportunity or something. So, we had a big decision to do, and there were a lot of other decisions to make that eventually brought us here. And as a as a CI graduates, Constructor Institute graduates, and we're currently located in Solothurn here in Switzerland. And now we both have jobs here in Switzerland, and we are blessed with our baby girl, our first baby girl. Yeah, so this is our life now.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And so what were once you were here, once you arrived, enrolled and arrived here, what were your favorite academic aspects of the program?
So this is something actually they wouldn't know except when they actually join the program. The program is very, very well, for me, I see it very, very well designed to have all the modules somehow integrated in many aspects. So you can always refer one module to another. So for example, if I'm studying something technical in software engineering, and then I have another course, for example, psychology, something humanity related, and then there's like an obvious bridge between the modules, even when I study something business or a business module or so. So this is something I have never explored before, not in my other master degree or my post or undergrad studies. This kind of bridge of is like one big it's like an umbrella, and everything is just merging somehow. So you can always refer from one module to another, regardless if it's like business, if it's technical, if it's yes. So
That's
this is something very special I see in the
wonderful.
program.
And indeed, that's, as I speak to applicants and prospective students, that's, I mentioned that. And so it's great to just to have you here to be able to to speak to that as your personal experience. So thanks again. And just a question on something that's, of course, also important as you're doing a master's program or any educational program, is a little bit more about the social aspects of the program. And if you could speak to that and let us know a little bit about how things are for students while enrolled in the program.
So I don't know if if they caught the first slide from Manuel's presentation. So we have a very strong network, right? We really build a very strong network attending this program. So other than what was in the slide of Manuel, I would also say that we've been taught by Professor Bernard Mayer, for example. He's the one who wrote the Eiffel language. We got the chance to be taught by him. We got the chance to read some of his books that he introduced during our studies. Professor Manuel, he is coming from a solid industrial background, right? And he brings the wholesome experience of the capstone project. And he also mentioned the capstone project where we did the Easy Peasy app. I'm so proud of it. I love it. And actually, there is, we basically just experienced industry, so market, a project while we are studying academia. This is also a really interesting journey, and I learned a lot from that because I was also coming from academic background, and then now I work in industry. So now I can really see what happened in the capstone project and what we have done and how we applied it in real life. So that was really interesting, and actually more and more. So I wouldn't stop this for the next 30 minutes or so, but yeah. But for example, also one more thing I would like to say. I remember that I was asked to present only one slide with the title of The Power of Math. Okay. And then I remember that after presenting that, I ended up presenting to like a table full of scientists and and it's about a project I did before, and I was really proud of it. And it's just like heavy people. So regarding this also network that I'm saying, that you get the opportunity to show your work to important people and be proud of yourself and your work, and self-esteem and so. Yeah,
Indeed,
you're
it's very
taken
important.
seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, indeed.
Mhm.
In addition to embarking on a rigorous academic journey, you also moved to a new country. And so I was hoping you could speak a little bit towards that. How was your move to Switzerland, and what are your most favorite things, most interesting experiences at the time when you first moved and since?
Mhm. So it okay, so I'm of course I wouldn't talk about the beauty of Switzerland. Everyone knows about the beauty of Switzerland. It's just magical. It's beyond people can ever, comprehend with their naked eye. But yeah, but what you kind of lack is to see the new rules and the new laws, and and you need to abide to all that. The details from experiencing everything from everything new, from leaving also your family, leaving your friends, and and to come to a totally new culture, to new faces, new places, new language, where you're really able to express yourself because of the language barrier. But I would see the beauty of this pressure, and the beauty of the studying process, with the time that we had with Constructor Institute. We were like really studying. Like you need to go in serious and you need to study, and the beauty of how we all managed, how we all enjoyed each other. We were coming from our cohort. We were actually coming from 21 different countries.
Wow.
So much beauty in that. There's so much to learn about different nationalities and different and the food. The food was also, we were enjoying so much the food,
You'll see we
and
have one or two pictures of the food actually
okay, that's
in the following slides.
yeah, I remember the laughs, and I remember the hard work that we did when we were working in projects, the food that we were eating, the interesting talks, and everything. It's just also we lived really near in each other, and this is also another topic. We lived on the waterfalls. It's like 5 minutes or so, or actually 3 minutes from the waterfall. So if you went a little bit high, you are going to see a very beautiful um, view. This also makes a lot of things easier on you. So there is a lot of beauty in the hardship and in yeah. It
Wonderful way
was,
of putting it.
yes,
Thank you.
it was
Indeed.
wonderful. Yep.
And you've spoken a little bit about this and within the other questions, but I would ask, how specifically do you believe the program prepared you for the next steps in your professional career?
Uh-huh. How did it? Okay. So I would say that in general, academia helps a lot in your character, or in your to build a mindset that for example, the power, you're gonna laugh. Some people would laugh, but you wouldn't understand how to search in Google if you don't have an academic background. Because we're researchers, we know how to use, we really know how to use Google. It's a skill. So when it comes you working in a company, and then, for example, there is a new topic or new ideas, new challenges or whatever, I think you will be special, and you will see the big difference between you and the way you are able to search and just get the some of the potential um, 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 answers to whatever the question was or the topic was, in comparison to others when it comes to new challenges at work. And you're going to see how you're appreciated by your boss for being able to like really get the important stuff, skim and scan and know what you can just take that point and start exclusive searching from there. So academia in general, it prepares you in a lot of ways. And if I'm talking about especially how Constructor Institute prepared me for that, I would say that one of the very big examples is the capstone project. I would love if Professor Manuel would talk more and more about it. It is really interesting, and it's a really important module that we studied, and it lasted for the whole duration, so 3 semesters. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so
Oh,
so
go ahead.
maybe if you want, I mean, one of the things that was clear is I created the capstone project course as a course that would really map my experience in industry, because I was told that we wanted to have a project course, and then I thought, but a small project with 4 people is not my experience of industry. My experience of industry is to make a product, and I've made a few products. To make a product, you need a team of 20 people who work really hard for a longer time, and not 4 people for 1 semester. So how can we map that? And so that's exactly what we do. I mean, I also published a small paper explaining how it is, so a short paper to show that show other people how we do things. But essentially, this is what we went through. And one of the things that we do is also to use the ideas of the students, so we don't impose the ideas to the students. And this creates a sense of ownership in the students, because this is their own ideas, So if you ever thought, I want to create a web application, then maybe this is the course for you, right? If you ever thought, I want to create a new thing in quantum computing, this is a new product in quantum computing, this is the course for you. So what is interesting is that, of course, you could do some of the work faster if you were just 3 people, right? But that's not what you learn. What you learn is to work with the others and to handle the conflicts, to understand that things are not necessarily personal, right? So this is the experience, I think, and so far we have extremely good feedback on this course, just simply because people don't realize that these are real issues in the real world. I mean, Sarah, I think in your experience now that you're in what I would call the real world, then I guess you have seen these things, right, in practice.
Yes. That's why I'm really highly appreciating it right now. Like, I'm really, my tone has changed a lot. It's like capstone. But yeah, that's true. I see now a lot. Yeah.
And on that note, I guess my last question to you would be, I understand that you were a bit spoiled for choice when you were ready to finish, when you finished your master's degree, and you had a few possibilities of jobs. If I understood correctly, you did have an offer from a company that was in our network, Acronis.
Yes.
And then another offer. So if you could just briefly, of course, in your own words, tell us about that. and maybe finish off with a little bit more about what you're doing today. And then we can go open up for any specific questions.
Okay, so I would say that I actually graduated in June, late June. Okay, and I started my current job in October. I had also an offer from our Acronis, and it was also in the first slide of Manuel's presentation, and it's one of the like a sister company. It's one of the biggest opportunities that student could have as a potential job opportunity to have after graduation. And the only reason that it was like one of the reasons that I just proceeded with the other job offer is that it's more of touching my point, which is the bioinformatics. And this is what I did my master research topic with Manuel about. It was bioinformatics, and this other job was biology related, and this interested me more. And so yeah,
And that's
this is why I
wonderful
proceeded. Yep.
that you were able to stay within the specific field that was of most of
Yes.
interest to you.
Yeah, and those were two of the opportunities that I got. I got also other opportunities, so I'm happy that this master degree like opened a lot of gates for us, and somehow gave us an insurance about our future here in Switzerland. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. That's the end of my questions. We can quickly give it back to Flavia if there are any specific questions for Sarah, and then I'll be happy to tell everyone the application procedures if you'd like to apply.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing with us your unique experience at Constructor Institute. We do have a few questions that came in from the audience, so thanks very much. The first would be to Sarah. According to you, how does Switzerland differ from Egypt? What would you say are the main differences?
Okay, so the ease of access in Egypt is like Egypt for me, it's a comfort zone in many ways. So the ease of access of everything. So there is all the varieties of food that you would ever imagine with easy accessible. You can order whenever you want. It's just easy life. There's always sounds outside. You're never alone. You have friends and you have your families around you. But here, when you come to Switzerland, you have a language barrier. It is not that of a mass production country. You don't get to just call the supermarket, get some chips and juice and stuff. No, it is not like that. It's not like in Egypt. It's not that easy. It is more of a I'm like a strong, independent woman. I do everything myself. I need to plan a bit more. I need to, the supermarkets close maybe at 17:30, so it's like 5:30 or 6 or so. You have to plan everything to finish, to buy whatever you want from the grocery. It's not 24 hours like in Egypt, there is a lot of this kind of details that you wouldn't know except if you lived in Egypt. So other than the language and other than the ease of access to all the, all the things, and I would also say that in Egypt you don't have the time to learn about yourself and to understand yourself. You're always surrounded with people. You always don't have enough time to really just sit and have some time for yourself. So I had that time when I came here. So it's a good way to learn about yourself too.
Excellent.
It's yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think indeed connecting to the nature and taking the time to enjoy the beauty of Switzerland is indeed something wonderful. Thank you. I see here another question for you, Sarah. So
Sure.
now related to the program, if you felt challenged at any point by the program, so were there any challenges while studying for your master's degree?
So the challenge was it put a little bit of pressure on me, but I see it's a good pressure. It's regarding the fully funded scholarship. I need to maintain above a threshold. I need to my average, my GPA average should be above a certain threshold. And if I dropped for more than once, then I wouldn't get the chance, or even more than once. And also this once, it has to be not under another threshold, then I would lose the fully funded scholarship. And this created some kind of a pressure, but it only pressured me to just give more and more, and study more and understand more. So it's just gave me extra energy, to direct it in my studies, which is not a bad pressure.
Absolutely. Indeed.
Yeah.
It's a
It's one
competitive,
of the challenges. And
yeah.
also quantum, it was totally new for me. It was very, very interesting, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you delve into new fields, it might feel uh, challenging at times, but also, as you said, the push to go forward for the extra mile. So
Yes,
thank you so much, Sarah,
of
for
course.
sharing
Thank you.
with us your experience. And at the moment, I see some other questions, but those are related to the master's programs. And on that note, I would like to give the floor to Caroline, who will explain to you more about our admissions process, and then we'll address any other open questions at the end of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Flavia. So indeed, I will get right down to it because we just have a few more minutes left. But the admissions process is a two-step process. We ask you to go onto our portal, application portal, and submit 4 documents. We try to keep it simple. Diploma, if you've already graduated, and an up-to-date transcript of all the classes and grades you received up until now. A motivational letter, personal statement explaining to us a little bit more why you would be interested in enrolling, an updated CV resume, and a copy of an ID, official ID, passports. Once we've received these 4 documents, I will be in touch to schedule an admissions interview, a 20-minute interview. We schedule for 30 minutes to make sure that we have enough time, but it would normally last about 20 minutes, where we ask you some technical questions related to computer science and software engineering, and a few questions about your education and work experience and motivation. And once this admissions interview has been completed, then we get back to you within a few weeks with our admissions decision, if we're able to admit you or not, and if you've asked if we were also able to give you a scholarship. I'll get in a little bit more into detail about the funding options in a minute, but we also have launched a pre-master's program that we do sometimes give admittance to applicants who we really like their background, their profile, but through the admissions process, we've realized that they don't quite have enough of the background to be able to start the master's program and succeed in it. They do need some further instructions to obtain the foundations. And so that pre-master's program is a 4-month-long online program. And for students applicants who decide to enroll in it and maintain at least a B average are automatically admitted into the full scholarship, full master's program. So in the next slide, I can explain a little bit more about funding. So tuition fees are 10,000 Swiss francs per year for EU and EFTA nationals, and 20,000 per year for non-EFTA and non-EU nationals. We do have the opportunity for students coming from partner institutions to receive a discount, and even if they're non-EU, be charged the 10,000 Swiss francs per year instead of the 20,000 Swiss francs. And so AUC is not officially yet in that list, but is soon to be. So if you did want to apply, we'd be happy to look at your application as a partner institution. And so I mentioned just a second ago, we do have some scholarships opportunities. Both are merit-based, and so we are able to sometimes give a tuition waiver, which waives tuition except for a 500 Swiss franc administrative fee per semester. So it would be 2,000 Swiss francs for the entire master's program. And then also we do have some full scholarships that Sarah mentioned. They are very competitive, and so we do wait until we receive all of our applications and put some students on the wait list for the full scholarship and give decisions during the summer on those who've received the full scholarship, again, merit-based, and the full scholarship waives completely the tuition and also gives students a monthly stipend while they're physically located in Schaffhausen. Professor Oriol mentioned the fact that we do hybrid learning, and one great thing about that option is that it does take some time sometimes for students to obtain their visa to come in and study and live here. And so we do have some students who start online at the beginning of the year and come as soon as they have received their visa. And so for the full scholarship recipients, the monthly stipend starts when they've arrived physically in Schaffhausen in Switzerland. So I think we can move on to the next slides. So now a few last slides on Switzerland that has been talked about primarily about with Sarah, but just to give you a little bit more context of where we are in the very northern tip. You can see the little red spot of Switzerland, Schaffhausen. It's well known because we are right next to, again, as Sarah mentioned, just a few minute walk from the largest waterfalls in Europe, I believe they are, the Rhine Falls, and we're located 40 minutes from Zurich, in a beautiful area with Switzerland, within Switzerland, that has, the 4 national languages, so close to so many different countries. And again, I won't speak to the beauty that we've already talked about, but one thing that's prevalent in Switzerland, as Sarah mentioned, it's a different way of life sometimes with the different rules, and again, it can be challenging and different than what you're used to, but it's really is a wonderful way to learn and to grow and to develop both personally and professionally. So I think in the next slides we can move. You can see a little bit some pictures of our campus, the Rhine Falls. And then the next slides, I think we have I think I removed in the end, and maybe in the following slide, this is some pictures of Sarah's cohorts and other cohorts, I believe. In the next slide, we might have pictures. Okay, so I guess I removed the picture of the food that I was mentioning earlier, but this again, just I believe this is one of my last slides, just to give you a little bit more, again, alumni perspective on the program and Switzerland. And what comes out really is the innovativeness of the program, the flexibility of the program, and the possibility of really learning and progressing. So I believe we're out of time here. just at 12:15, and I believe this might be if we can just check, I think this is one of the last slides. We can continue on, and then there we go, indeed. So we can take a minute or two for any last questions. We'll stay on.
Yes. Thank you so much, Caroline. I've already answered one of the questions in our webinar chat, which is directly linked to what you just presented on the admissions process. So the question, I will summarize it, is what type of an academic background a student should have in order to be enrolled in a master program at the Computer Science, Software Engineering and Leadership Khalil is mentioning. And as you mentioned, and I wrote my answer in the chat, basically for both our programs, we do a careful screening of all the candidates and interviews where we assess their undergrads, transcripts, diplomas. Normally, we look for students with the background in computer science and software engineering, but there might be also exceptions to that. So therefore, we conduct the interviews to understand that better. And if our candidates would not have sufficient technical knowledge in those fields, we have the pre-master program, which is an intensive 4-month program designed to level up, to bridge the gaps that you might have in computer science and software engineering, and fully equip you for the program. So the successful completion of the pre-master program would guarantee then a spot into the master's program. And all the details for the pre-master program as well as for admissions to our master's program are available on our website. And also you can reach out to us by email anytime at master's office at Constructor Institute.
Indeed, and our last slide, if we can go to our last slide, there's our website and our email address if you have any further questions, as Flavia mentioned.
Let me also ask our panelists to turn on their cameras for maybe the very last interactions. In the meantime, I'll also take the opportunity to thank you once again to our distinguished speakers, to our guests from Cairo and from elsewhere for joining us today. It has been a real pleasure for me to moderate this webinar, and we look forward to hearing back from you and to welcoming you in Schaffhausen, hopefully very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.